Hi guys, welcome to Finding Happiness with Jasmine. Today's guest is an expert in mental health and she's here to share her knowledge and information about depression. So join us.
Okay, so my name is Remy Okunshakin. For all the Nigerians out there, I apologize. I probably said it wrong, but that's how I say my name, okay? I'm Nigerian. I'm a counsellor. I've been a counsellor for several years, integrative counsellor. I'm currently working with families who are at risk of their children going into care, teenagers. So that's what I'm currently doing. So the difference between depression and low mood is more emotional, or can be seen as more emotional. I'm going to give you a real short crash course. And depression is more chemical based, more psychological, so chemical imbalance. I know sometimes we always say, oh, I'm really depressed, and unless you're diagnosed by a general practitioner, it's really about low mood. Low mood is more, like I said, mood, emotional. Depression it's very different. Well, with low mood, like I said, it's more occasional or situational. So, something bad happens, or you didn't get the job, for example, that can put you in a low mood, okay? You had an argument, or you're broken up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you can get into a low mood, you feel low. With depression, but with low mood, you can still kind of function to a certain extent, but with depression, it's more, motivation is gone. Lots of thoughts of suicide, lots of thoughts of that you're no good, you're useless. You may notice that you stop washing, you stop caring for yourself, that you stop eating, or maybe you eat too much. But whatever it is, you just don't look after yourself. So you may eat too much, or you may not eat anything. You find it very difficult to function. You find it, and it's not just something you can shake off. A lot of people say, oh, just kind of pull yourself together. It's nothing. You can't really do that. With low mood, you don't necessarily need medication. With depression, you may need medication along with talking therapies. And various other things like exercise and things like that, and trying to do various techniques to try and help lift that depression, or help you walk through that. The first thing to do would possibly go to your GP and explain to them that you're depressed and that you need some support. And then your GP will probably ask you lots of different questions, and then may start talking to you about depression, about medication. I know as believers it's very difficult sometimes, because it's like, depression, we don't want to take medication. Before I started working in mental health, although I was a counsellor, my thing was, don't take just stay away from it, especially African Caribbean people, stay away from medication. That's not necessarily helpful. Some people may need medication along with talking therapies, when I say talking therapies, I'm talking about cognitive behavioural therapy. And cognitive behavioural therapy is, the cognition is your mind, is how you understand things. So it will help you challenge or interrupt some of those negative thoughts. So along with the medication and talking therapy and exercise, and eating healthy, or not even eating healthy, but just watching what you eat. It's not about, going on a diet, but there's certain foods that are good mood stabilizers or mood lifters. So that's like a pronged approach, and also having some good people around you, supportive people around you. Medication isn't going to change you can't just take a tablet and everything is okay. There is some work that you need to do as well. So medication, talking therapies, cognitive behavioral therapy, that comes to mind, exercise, eating right, sleeping, having a group of people around you that are supportive. It's a big thing. So there's lots of different things that can help combat that. When somebody loses someone, obviously you're experiencing the grief and the various stages of grief. I'm going to try and remember it off by heart. So you've got the first. I'm not putting in order, so don't have a go at me. But you've got shock. You have anger. You have denial. You have acceptance. That's towards the end. Just disbelief. So there's lots of different, I think there's 5 stages of grief, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's almost like you have to, you don't have to do anything, but the body goes through those stages. So when someone, like you know, Jasmine, you just mentioned your grandmother, when somebody close to me passed away, I went into complete shock. I think for several months, I think almost to a year, I pretended for a long time she hadn't died. So I did, even when I was told that she died, my mum came home from work and my mum was in tears, and I was like, what are you crying for? Because I just basically shut everything off. And I had a postcard from this person, and I kept reading it, believing, and made myself believe that she was on holiday. So I was in denial. And then the whole thing of just overwhelming sadness, and then anger. And sometimes the anger can be anger at the person that passed away. And I know sometimes it's very difficult to even admit that, because you're thinking, you know, why did you do this? Why? Or all different things. How I went through grief and how you go through grief may be very different. But one of the main things is not, I always say to people, try and go with the flow, go with those ebbs and flows. So when you are feeling angry, being honest with yourself and saying, I am angry. For myself, I never thought I was going to recover ever, and you've already mentioned that you didn't think you was going to recover. So I went to therapy, and to be fair, it sounds weird, but I just thought, at first I thought it was a waste of time, but it really helped me. It helped me to talk about how I was feeling, open up. We even did exercises, well, that's a two chair exercise, whereby I was talking to this empty chair, but imagining that I was talking to this person, and about everything I wanted to talk to her about the things that I loved about her, the things that made me upset, the things that I was angry about, my own anger towards myself, because this person, very dear person to me, I think she had a stroke. And I didn't get to see her before she died, and she was asking for me. And it's only kind of now, it's been I can't even remember how many years, but it's been more years than I can remember. It's only now I can really face that and say, yeah, you know, I wasn't able to make it. Before, I was just in complete denial. I didn't want to talk about it, I don't want to think about it. But with therapy and just, you know, supportive people around me, it helped. But it is a bit of a roller coaster. There might be times, there might be days or weeks or months that you're crying a lot, or you're eating or you're not eating. So it's a bit different to depression. Depression, like I said, is more psychological. Grief can lead to depression if it's not handled in a supportive way. But depression and grief, there is a grief in depression, but it can be quite different. Well, one of the first things you'll notice is that they seem to be more withdrawn. They may stop returning your calls or answering the phone. They may, when you go around to their house, they may not answer the door, or they may be quite, apart from being isolating themselves, they may become quite snappy and irritated and somewhat angry. So you're just like, what the heck is going on with this person? So then, because it's almost like self-preservation. If a person's feeling depressed, the first thing one of the things they may do is become quite angry or push people away. And the best way to push people away is being rude and angry. Because if someone's rude and angry to you, you're not going to be like, oh, okay, let me come around again. No, you're going to flee. So that kind of, for them, that then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. See, I told you nobody wants you around. What's the purpose of you being here? You know, why are you here? No one cares for you. Even one of your good friends, look what you did. You're so useless. You're so all kinds of negative talk. And also, if you notice someone that you're close to, or a friend or somebody else, that what they talk about is quite negative. They're very general statements always. I can never. Kind of picking up on things like that. Also, one of the main things is that they may start not caring for themselves, so they may become quite unkempt. All these things in isolation is other things. You know what I mean? It could be anything, but if it's all kind of they're isolating themselves, they're not they don't seem their usual self, they seem quite tired a lot all the time, can't be bothered, their talk, every time you're talking to them, you notice that their talk about themselves or about life is very bleak, is very low, is very there's no hope in their language. It may be very subtle, but it's something that really does happen, because when you have depression, when you are diagnosed with depression, you have no hope. There's no hope. And the only way out for some people is suicide. So picking up on that and just noticing that they're not caring for themselves. They may not wash, they may not have been eating. Even if you go around, their house may be untidy. But again, this is not in isolation, it's along with all the other things as well that you may notice. So the advice I would give somebody who's going through their darkest time, who feels that they can't escape this, would be that it's not going to last forever. You can escape it. It does feel hopeless. And just as nature, like, before dawn comes, it's really, really, really dark. There's that darkest period. I don't know how long it lasts for, but it gets so dark, it's like you can't see nothing. But then dawn comes, and it's like, oh, dawn is here, and the day starts, and it's almost like you've forgotten how dark it was. So one of the first things I would do would be like acknowledge that you are depressed, and you're noticing that you're not doing things that you enjoy, you're not really caring for yourself, you're isolating yourself, think about what you're thinking about. That sounds really bizarre, but it is about, what am I paying attention to? What's my self-talk like? Is it quite negative? Is it quite hopeless? Am I having thoughts of suicidal? We say it's suicidal ideation, where you think, if I wasn't here, things would be better. If I'm out of the way, then my family can go on. If I'm not here, a lot of the talk would be you not being around. So that if that's the case, one of the first things would be, I would speak to, if you're not able to speak to your GP, because some people find it quite daunting, I would then speak to a trusted friend. End of the day, you have to speak to, it's really helpful to speak to somebody to kind of share what you're going through, because it's almost like you're carrying this load all by yourself, and you're not the only person. There are people out there. If it's a financial issue, there's people that get paid good money to help people that own financial difficulties. If it's to do with bereavement, and you've experienced a tragic loss, and now you're not able to kind of function. Again, there's professionals out there that get paid to do this, so you don't have to go through it alone. It might be that you just talk to somebody, maybe write some stuff down, write about how you're feeling, and the answer is never you leaving this planet. That's never the answer. That's not the answer. So it's really about acknowledge what you're going through. Yeah, I am feeling kind of rubbish. I'm feeling kind of crappy. And I'm noticing that it's not just something I can shake off. And not being so hard on yourself. I think that's also a thing as well, where sometimes when people are feeling depressed or have been diagnosed with depression, very, very hard on yourself. You can't do everything by yourself. There are people out there that are there to support you. So acknowledging it, asking for help, people that you trust, maybe the GP, medical professions, medication. Again, when it comes to medication, not all medication may suit you. It's about really being open and honest and saying that medication is not going to help. I don't think that medication is helping me. I have taken it. I have waited, I think it's 3 months. I think you have to wait 3 months for it to kick in. It may make you feel very lethargic and like, I just can't I feel even worse. Speak to your GP. End of the day, it's about trying to have that open dialogue with your GP, saying this works, this doesn't work, and finding something that does work. There's not one medication that's going to help you. It's medication and talking therapy. Unfortunately, the talking therapy there is a long waiting list. So speak to people, speak to a trusted friend, speak to family members if you're able to. If you're in part of a faith community, speak to your pastor, speak to imam, speak to a rabbi. Look at what you're eating, go for exercise, even if it's just a walk, put on some music, even, some upbeat music. You might think, oh God, I can't be bothered, but put on some music and just kind of get your heartbeat racing, and then just notice how you felt before and how you feel after. Because when we exercise, it's a natural drug, it's the endorphins, that's what these drugs are, kind of, man-made drugs, synthetic drugs, medicational drugs are patterned on. So we've got that natural endorphin, so let's try and start using it. You're not in it alone. You'll be surprised at how many people get depressed. Celebrities get depressed. It's no respecter of persons. People that have money, people that don't have money, people that have kids, people that don't have kids. Anything can happen. So just understand that you're not alone. There is support out there. There are people that are willing to help, and that you are worth it. That's the main thing. You are worth somebody helping you and getting the support, because you don't know, it may be a breakthrough for you. This depression, although it's really difficult, it may be a breakthrough. There may be some time that you just need to do for yourself. And also when you're through it, then you can help somebody else. How do you know what you've got it may be helpful to someone else? Your experience is vital to somebody else's experience. So just don't give up, and there's always help. There's always hope.
If you're going through a place of depression and you need help, I'm going to be leaving links of professional help that you could reach out to, and they will surely help you out. But as I said, you're not alone. You can get out of this place, and you know, depression is not a nice feeling, and you have people supporting you.